Hello, everyone, and welcome. I'm here with Kris, and we had a great conversation, you and Misty and I, just a few weeks ago, and we decided to jump on another interview and have another conversation and go really deeper into some of the sound healing and the work that you do on that level. And I don't know, I've experienced so many different versions of this. I always love like a superhero origin story. Like, how did you get into this? So I'd love to hear how you kind of found your way into sound healing and maybe some of the training and kind of bring us along that journey to where you are at this point.
Sure. So you had a couple of great talking points in there. So I think probably how I even got started on this path is an appropriate place to begin. So I would say my very first experience would have been somewhere around 2008, 2009. A sound healer came to town to our local yoga studio, and he brought with him, a big quiver of crystal bowls. And it was the first time that I'd seen crystal bowls, I'd heard them play, but it's the first time that I'd seen somebody come with so many. And he was doing a sound experience, and it just so happened that we were helping organize it. So I had the additional benefit of hosting them or him for the night. And so the experience was beautiful. He played a lot of bowls. He did some light toning, but I really got that sense of, space that was created, with the bowls. And then that evening, he was like, "Hey, how would you like to have like a crystal bowl jam?" I was like, "Yeah, that sounds great." So we went down in the basement, pulled out all the bowls, and we sat around and we played with them for a couple of hours. And over the course of that evening, there was one bowl in particular that I kept going back to. And eventually he pointed out, and he's like, I think that bowl likes you. And I thought, yeah, I kind of like this bowl. And he says, well, energy comes in and goes out. So if you like, I could sell you that bowl. It allows me to bring something new into my world and something new comes into yours. And so I did. I bought the bowl. And so over the subsequent weeks and months, as I was playing with my bowl, before this time, I didn't sing. I do play music. I do play, the piano and instruments, have since I was a child, but I never really sang with my voice. And as I started to engage with the bowl, I kept feeling like, okay, I need to add my own tone to the tone of the bowl. So it started very simply, just adding the simple tone and matching with the bowl. And it started to pull, and I could feel it kind of pulling more. And basically it's a long story after that. So I really credit the bowl and that experience for bringing sound healing into my world, much less singing. And now I love to sing. I sing every chance that I can get. And then more formally in 2009, 2000, I think it was 2010, I formally trained under Tom Kenyon in one of his last sound healer workshops and have been a student of his ever since, and have really kind of followed in his, the sage wisdom or advice that he gave all of us, is that I'm not training you to be me. I'm not training you to do to do this like I'm doing it. I'm teaching you what I have learned to give you tools for you to forge out on your own and rediscover, the art of sound in our own living experience. And I really took that to heart. And I'm fascinated by humans, by people. For as long as we've been on this planet, we've had a relationship with sound. We've used it in our medicine, in our ceremonies, and everything from death to birth to marriages to celebrations. And I think it is something that we may have at one point lost contact with, just how deep a science music is and how powerful music and sound is in the world. And so over the years in my travels, I've been all over the world. I've studied and really believe in direct experience. So I don't claim any specific tradition, though I believe heavily in participation, in immersing, having the energetic field that I am open to be exposed to the vibration of other things. Because when we do that, a third field is generated. And that's, in my opinion, what really teaches, what changes and evolves us over time. So in my practice, I bring to bear, influences from, India and Nepal, Tibet, from Africa, from South America and Vegetalismo, teachings from the Keros, Native American Indians, the Hopi, so on and so forth. And so you'll find bits and pieces of, those ancient wisdom cultures and traditions, woven into my practice. And I think that, as time progresses, we'll find that what was once woo-woo in terms of, the indigenous and the ancient cultures, it becomes science again, becomes something that becomes commonly accepted. So I'm looking forward to playing my part in helping modern man refine and remember our relationship with sound and spirit as a part of science rather than being apart from it.
Yeah, really love that. I want to take a step back. It's a little bit of a vulnerable question. Share to the level that feels good to you. That initial bowl that called out to you, and it sounds like you resonated with each other. Was it a certain frequency? Was it a certain chakra? Was there a reason it might have been that one as you started diving in, like some type of healing and transformation for yourself that was needing to come through?
Yeah, no, that's a great question, actually. I don't think anybody's ever quite asked it that way. Again, a kind of a multi-level response. The bowl itself is a D sharp, and I think it's about 20 or 30 cents out of being a true tone D sharp. It's an 8-inch bowl, and it's an alchemy bowl. So it's both quartz crystals and it is infused with steel. And in that particular combination, it would be considered a grandfather bowl. And so kind of lightning medicine, kind of connecting to, the portals of ancient wisdom and the wisdom keepers. And so in that respect, sure. I don't think he could have been any other bowl. On another level, yeah, my own voice I wasn't expressing through one of the key power centers of my being. The light of my, being was expressing in all kinds of different ways, but not in one that, is incredibly subtle, but probably one of the most powerful, especially since we use it every day to even speak to each other. So I think it got me over my own fear of being heard. And even to this day, I don't know what other people's experiences are, and I do my best to try to bring my best, to the table, and that shows up in so many different ways. And so that can be really uncomfortable, especially in the beginning as you engage with sound, and then to watch other people, having a variety of responses from, yeah, that was cool, or it sounded like chalkboards scratching on the wall, to, like crying and writhing and, emotional, pain. Like, oh my gosh, am I the cause of that? It's like, no, to a degree, I was able to help catalyze and be a part of entering into that experience with that person in a way that they may not have known that was even possible. So yeah, that was hard. That was definitely a journey for me. And it couldn't have been any other bowl. In fact, somebody at one point asked me, "What's your bowl's name?" It's like, I'd never really thought about it. So I kind of quieted for a moment and connected. I was like, "So what is your name?" And without hesitation, Doug. Really? Doug? Well, you asked. Kind of in quiet indignation. I was like, of course it's Doug. Like, it completely fit. And so, yeah, Doug is and continues to be a, key member of my support crew. He likes to inspect all of the other bowls as they come in and make sure that they're not getting too much, play time, without having him come around from time to time. So, yeah.
Happy bowl, happy home, as they
Happy
say.
bowl, happy home. Yeah.
Very cool. Well, I believe today you're going to share some of your music with us. And is there anything you need to like kind of introduce or preface or kind of bring into the space before you get started?
Yeah, I work with a lot of different sound implements. Sometimes just my voice. You can work with drums, rattles, bowls. This particular bowl actually comes from a family that makes them in Kathmandu. They're made in the traditional style, of that culture. It is not a 7 alloy bowl, though there are many alloys that are used in the making of these. And so they are made specifically for the purpose of sound healing. Unlike many bowls that you'll find in those shops, etc., that are made, they're beautiful, they resonate. But, it's kind of like you can have a car or you can have a race car. And so I'm excited to be able to share this bowl with you. I will be doing a little toning and singing along with it. I think another thing, perhaps I can talk a little bit about my process, which is sometimes useful to kind of help those that are experiencing it for the first time to understand what's kind of happening and why I do what I do. And so in the beginning, I like to allow the bowl's voice to come in and assert its presence. And it's through the sound and the vibration and the energy of the bowl itself that it begins to connect everything that it is coming into contact with, regardless of whether or not we are near or far apart, such as you and I being separated by a good distance. And it brings us all together into the same space, into the same, frequency domain, so to speak. From there, to kind of keep it really short, I start to tune into what's present and I begin to add my own tone. So in the beginning, you'll hear me tone very quietly, perhaps, or very simply. And what I'm kind of doing is raising the antenna up and looking for the signal for what's there. Because what I am doing isn't necessarily creating something new. I'm tuning into what is present and then lending to whatever, ability that I'm able to at the time, my own voice to it, to begin to bring into physicality and more of that signal. And it's my hope that the others that are participating, in the sound start to connect, and that signal, that energy, that communication, that music starts to reveal itself to them in ways that are unique and specific to the person. And then we go for our journey. I have my experience, and a lot of the times I'm sitting there enjoying it or not enjoying it right along with the people that are listening. And then it will conclude. And I always like to make mention that it is really important that after a sound piece ends, you allow for a period of a silence and integration, because it's at that moment that what happened during the sound fully arrives. So we'll give it a minute or two for the sound to settle, and then we can continue to have our conversation.
Awesome. I just had this thought that maybe for anyone that's driving or multitasking, like find a nice place to sit down, a quiet space, pull the vehicle over the side of the road. And I'm excited to experience and absorb this right where we are.
Should we begin?
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right. Yeah, so if it's in your best interest, or if you would like, I invite you to take a deep breath and fully arrive in the moment. A good place to rest your attention, if you're able to. The heart is always a great place. or possibly at the third eye, whatever's most comfortable to you. And if it's very natural for thoughts and things to begin coming in, just gently bring your attention back and just rest in the sound, and whatever happens, happens.
Yeah, beautiful, powerful. It's interesting. I've got a few energetic processes I've been working on in my body, and towards the end could really feel one of those areas kind of being worked on. Also another area that I forgot about. It's been quite a while since I've looked at it, that came back in. I feel like the temperature went up like 10 degrees over here. I'm definitely sweating. And yeah, and some like really great, almost like updraft like movements inside of my body. That was really powerful. And part of me knows like time and distance are not really a thing. And it's always amazing how even through this medium, like just such a powerful session in such a short amount of time. So dude, thank you. Such a blessing to be on with you right now and get to experience that directly. So
it's my honor and a pleasure. Yeah, I think it's interesting you point out, like, regardless of the time and space, and I think amongst several other kind of key channels, one of the primary ones that someone at least that I work with, it's through the changing of the perception of time and space. And that's really on a mental, conscious, emotional, physical, both conscious and unconscious level. That's what gives us access to the good stuff. Kind of dropping us down into that kind of alpha theta range where we can kind of start to feel without the words, without the narration constantly hijacking the story. And it's through that means we can get a lot done. Especially on an emotional and psychological level. And then, of course, there's, we could speak a lot to what's happening on the physiological, on the physical body, molecular level. At the end of the day, it's all vibration, it's all sound. It's all relationship between two things, exchanging energy. And sound gives us a vehicle and a pathway to begin kind of directing and changing and interfacing those dynamics.
Yeah. Yeah. And I love that it's kind of free on your end, that it doesn't have to be the same thing. Like you said, you can put up the antenna, you can meet the space and the energy and the people and the needs where they actually are and flow through that, rather than like, here's my set list, here's
Yeah.
my greatest hits that I want to take this group through. And there's beauty and this really wonderful experience in that as well. And there's something really pure about letting it guide you in this way. So
Yeah, it's definitely unique every time. I don't think, while there are definitely thematic, energetic bands that I tend to operate and work with, they're never the same. They're
yeah.
never the same. And while you're there, I'm part of that mix too. So I get to meet myself wherever I'm at. Whether I've had a great day or a hard day, it's kind of a place that kind of pull away that framework, that expectation, and just show up for what's there.
Yeah. Yeah. So with, this as like a healing modality, is there something that people will say, oh, I thought this or experienced this, and I knew that it was time, or a certain realm of like, these are the type of things that a lot of people will come to you to work through, or any way to maybe help people recognize, hey, this is a thing that might be the next step in my healing journey, my evolutionary journey, my self-exploration journey?
I think I don't think there's any easy way to answer that one. I definitely believe in we're multidimensional beings having a human experience, and we're constantly in the process of remembering ourselves. I mean, by the time that our physiological body receives the signal, the light into the eye, the smells into our nostrils, the sound into our ears, and it enters the mind stream, it's already happened. We're always in the process of catching up, even if it's just a few nanoseconds. And I think as a part of that, our spiritual and our energetic natures are always bringing us the things that we need, whether we consciously know it or not. And so in that way, I really have kind of consecrated my work to be in service to the natural flow of spirit. So while I think, I'd be really good for somebody who's having a hard time sleeping or has pain in their body or, emotional trauma from this thing or that, really it's, what do you need at the time that you need it? And do you feel that resonance, like, oh, there might be something there, and am I going to pay attention to that or ignore it? And eventually, that which we ignore gains such a loud voice that we're going to do the thing that we need. So I like to think that, the people that I work with, find me at the right time, that they have a need. And whether that's through, just discourse and discussion and kind of talking through where they're at and what their aspirations are, what their struggles are, and bringing sound in to help support that. Like, there is no, magic size, dimension, quality of the keyhole. So we're in search of that, that key that only we can find.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I guess to make my answer really succinct and short after a long discourse is, kind of follow, the voice of spirit.
Yeah, I was just thinking about how along that Rolling Stones wisdom, like sometimes you don't get what you want, you get what you need.
Right.
And how many times you're like, oh, I'm gonna really go after this thing, or evolve in this area, or remove this pain point from my life experience, and you go in and realize that, wow, I needed something completely different. So again, I love that about this, more of this like holistic medicine, that it finds what's actually needed and goes, I think, a lot of times more towards the roots and a lot of times we're only tracking the plant above, the symptom above. So yeah, so kind of in wrapping up and pulling things together, is there anything else that you think it's important to leave people with, a key takeaway?
I think sound, if you look at, ancient, traditions and lineages, and, what your ideas may or may not be about, kind of what seeded our modern culture, even the word music, mu, comes from an ancient language, an old language, a dead language from the civilization of Mu, which seeded kind of the root languages of like Hebrew and Sanskrit and others on the planet. So we share across cultures and time very similar sound syllables and seeds. And Mu, mother, and Sik, science, is the mother of all science. And so I think in any journey of observation, self-discovery, sound is a great place to start. Simple. And it's not something that is for other people only. It's for all of us. And so I think if I wanted to leave people with anything, it would be, whether it's with me or on their own, find a way to build or establish a relationship with music for yourself. And then explore the number of ways, the infinite number of ways that music can inform just about every aspect of our lives and evolve it forward in a beautiful way. So all the lessons are in there. All the knowledge and wisdom that we need is in there if we learn how to listen. And it's easy to learn how to listen. We do it naturally. So I love to teach. I love to share the things I've experienced and what I know. So it starts with sound and it ends with good conversations, and hopefully, a pathway that leads you to what's, in the highest and best good for, the people that I come into contact with. So that's my blessing and my hope for everyone. May the merits of our efforts and our lives benefit all beings everywhere.
Yeah, I love it. Thank you for sharing. And I think, yeah, that takeaway of like, we usually know what we need. We know what we're drawn to. A lot of times by the time we step into it, maybe we've got that ping a couple times, and just allowing that permission piece to come in. Like, yeah, if it's, working with you, if it's working with somebody else, if it's going and getting that musical piece and exploring music, from the comfort of your own home, like, yeah, it's waiting there for us. And yeah, the mother of all science. I think I'm going to spend quite a bit of time thinking about that, because it ties into like cold laser that I have, and a lot of the things that I'm studying around healing and vibration. So again, thank you for a beautiful
Quick interjection there.
Powerful
Forgive me,
experience.
but
Yeah.
a lot of people recognize Pythagoras, right? Math,
Yeah.
science, kind of the beginning roots of that era that blossomed into modern science. He was into the music of the spheres, astrology, observation. That's really the root and the heart of it, is that music is occurring all around us all the time. It's not just what we hear.
Yeah.
Yeah, love that. Thank you.
Yeah, really powerful. I'm looking forward to a lot of future conversations. And again, just thank you for, sharing something that, really tangible and easy to take away. And I know that you're open to more questions. I know this is a passion of yours. So I'd suggest anybody that has more questions, reach out, and I know they'll be well received. So thank you.
Thank you, Morgan. Appreciate it.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Take care.